This is Password Boss. And Password Boss is an app, so you're going to install it wherever you want to access your passwords from. And we are looking at the Windows version here, but we've also got a Mac version. And if you're on mobile, we do both iOS and Android. So regardless of which device you happen to be using, you're always going to have access to the latest updates to all your passwords, your accounts, everything. We're going to keep everything in sync across all the devices that you're using. And then a little bit on the architecture that we've got here. So each of these tiles, these are all individually saved passwords. And they're saved locally in an encrypted database on each device that you use. So it means that you're always working with local data, which makes it fast. And it also means that Password Boss works when there isn't an internet connection, and that can be useful too, especially if you're trying to fix the internet connection. But then when you back up your account or you're synchronized between devices, or maybe you share a password with somebody else, what we're moving at that point is fully encrypted data, and we can't see inside of it, and neither can anybody else. It is locked up and secure. And then the way the app works is everybody gets their own account inside your email address. So we are looking at Alex's account here. And then for each user, what we do is we actually partition their accounts into profiles. So each user gets a personal profile, and this is where they can put all of the personal items that they're logging into at work. And everything here is private. Nobody else can access it, including the administrator. And then on the other side of each user's account is the business profile. And this is where all the business items go. And just like the personal profile, though, everything here is private to just this user by default. So this is not a shared vault across the whole business. Only Alex can access these items. You know, we've got a great sharing system, so you can share anything you want with anybody else. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. But by default, nothing here is shared. But the big reason that we've got these items into different profiles is actually for disaster recovery. Because the administrator can turn on a secondary backup for everything that's in this profile. And it gives you the ability to back up and restore passwords the same way you can back up and restore files from a server. And again, that's a secondary backup because we are backing up both of your profiles, your entire account, every 5 minutes. So your data is always backed up. And if we take a look at one of these items here, let me show you what we're doing here. So in this case, this is a website, right? So if it's a website, we need to know what the URL is so that when you open that page in your browser, our browser extension knows what username and password to fill in for you. We've got a great foldering system in Password Boss too, so it makes it real easy to organize your passwords so you can always find what you're looking for. And this is a pretty common example that we see a lot where you might have a customers folder, then customer 1, 2, 3, and you can go down the list and make as many as you need to, subfolders too. But then the other really big thing that you can do with folders in Password Boss is sharing, right? So for example, if I need to share that customer 4 folder with my team, I can do that. I don't need to move the password somewhere else, make a separate folder, then share that. Password Boss, it's simple. I could just share the customer 4 folder. My team will get everything that's in that, plus all the subfolders. And what we see a lot of times, they'll just come up here to the top level, customers, and just share this with their team, so their team gets access to everything. But then the system is also flexible enough that, you know, maybe one of those customers needs some of those passwords themselves. That's easy enough to do. Just make a new subfolder, drag in whatever passwords the customer needs, and just share this folder with the customer. So that's all the customer is going to see, but your team, because you shared with them at a higher level, still has access to everything. So again, the folders in Password Boss are real easy to work with, but they're also very powerful. And then everywhere in the app that you find a password field like this, you're also going to find a password generator. This is really what we want your passwords to look like. Everyone should be different, and you shouldn't have any idea what they are. And then when you click on the check password button here, we're actually going to do a dark web scan on that password to see if it's ever been found in a security breach. And if it is, we're going to tell you. All right, so this is a really bad password. This one's been found 3.2 million times in different security breaches. But it's probably a password everybody's seen before, maybe even used, right? Password 1. So if you got this password in your account, hopefully you're going to change it, right? And once you've changed it in Password Boss, you're going to get a new icon here, which is the history icon. And we show you what all the old passwords were for that account, because sometimes you need those too. And then this next feature, I touched a little bit on it before, but Password Boss actually has a built-in authenticator app in for sites with 2FA. We can generate your codes for you. So this means that you don't need to get Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. With Password Boss, it's built in. And the big benefit here of having this built in comes in when it's time to share passwords. So for example, if I need to share this password with you for the account for Asana here, when this password shows up in your Password Boss account, it's going to come with the codes, right? So it opens up the ability for you to put 2FA on all of your accounts, which is what you need to be doing anyway. And anybody that you share it with is going to have access to those 2FA codes too. And then what you're also going to notice through the entire Password Boss application is that we've got a nice, clean, simple interface. It's real easy to navigate, real easy to find what you're looking for. There's some different views built in here. There's also a bunch of different filters. Trying to make it easy so you can find your password really quick so you can get logged into whatever's next on your list. Now, there's some other features in the app too. So we've got a built-in digital wallet. And this is where you can, primarily is where you're going to store your credit cards, right? And if you put your credit cards in Password Boss, when you're buying something online and you get to the checkout page, Password Boss can put in your credit card details for you, saving you some time. And then the personal info section, this is information about you that you're normally typing into websites, right? So that's your name, address, email, phone number. If you put that information in Password Boss, when you come up to those pages online, Password Boss can fill in that information for you. Again, trying to save you some more time. And then the secure notes section here, this is where you put everything else that's important, but isn't a password. You know, that might be a license key. Maybe it's the alarm code to the customer's office. You know, maybe it's a warranty. Pretty much anything can go here. And just like passwords, all of these items can be shared too. And then the identities section, this is another form filling feature, and it's actually a combination of the personal info and the wallet. And the best example I can give you here is if you're online, you're making a purchase, you get to the checkout page, and that's the page that's full of all those fields that you need to fill in and able to check out. If you're using the identities in Password Boss, we can generally fill in that entire page with all of this information with just a single click. So again, it's super slick to see it work. And it's another great time-saving feature. And then when it's time to share passwords, you're going to come to the Share Center. So we're seeing passwords in chats, in emails. You know, maybe there's a spreadsheet out of the network somewhere. And I'm sure we've all walked up to a monitor and seen a Post-it note on the monitor with a password on it. Or if they're really secure, the Post-it notes underneath the keyboard, right? But with Password Boss, we make it really simple for everybody to be able to securely share passwords. Let me show you this one a little bit more. So I'm going to open up this share. It's called Customer One Passwords. And I'll explain everything that we're looking at here, but we'll start at the bottom. So this share includes 11 items, right? Then we can come down here. We can see that we've got some folders included. We've got items in the folders. If you want to see what's in a folder, just click on the magnifying glass, right? So you can get a quick visual. So these 11 different items in these folders have been shared with these 3 different groups. And you set the groups up at the portal. You manage them just like Active Directory. You can also share to individual users, or you can mix and match. It's up to you. And then what we're doing from a permissions perspective is important too. So the engineers group on this share, their permissions here are editors. And editors means that they can come out and they can get logged into all these sites, right? They can open these records, they can see everything, and they can change everything they need to as well. So for example, if the password changes, they can do that. They can add some notes. Any sort of changes that they need to make that they can. And then all of those changes are automatically sent back to everybody else that's on the share so that everybody else always stays in sync with the latest updates. And then the finance group on this share, their permissions are a little bit different. Their permissions here are read-only password visible. So that means they can come out, they can take a look at all these items, they can open them up, get logged into all these sites, but they can't change anything. And then the last group, Office Admin Group, different permissions yet again, theirs are read-only and password not visible. And even though they can't see the passwords for all these items, we can still log them into all these sites because they don't need to see the password for that because we do it for them. And being read-only, they can't make any changes either. And the sharing feature here in Password Boss is one of the most heavily used features across all the users. People just need to share passwords. And what we've done is we've tried to make a real simple interface here so that anybody can easily do it and keep everything in sync. And it works very well. Now, we've also got an emergency feature built into the app too. This is where you can pre-designate somebody to have access to your account in case of an emergency. So in my case, my wife is my emergency contact. And if I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, with a single click, she can access all of my passwords. So again, it's a great peace of mind feature. We've also got a secure browser built into the app, and we're doing things here like secure DNS lookups, blocking additional extensions and downloads. We don't force people to use it. It's here if they like. And it is nice because it does open up to the support site. So if you got any questions, it's real easy to get them answered. And then the security dashboard. This actually ends up being a favorite feature for a lot of the end users because it's a snapshot, again, of your account. And what we do is we take a look at all the passwords in your account, and we can give you a list of how many of those passwords are compromised, duplicate, weak, and old. And from there, we give you a score, right? So in this case, 92 is really good. But when most people start using PasswordBoss, they generally come in with a pretty low score because most people will either use the same password everywhere, or they're just using weak passwords. But as you start to use PasswordBoss and we start creating new passwords for you, your score is going to go up. And that's how we can demonstrate that we're improving your online security. Now down here, we've got a couple of dark web scans built into the app too. The first one here, you can actually scan all of your passwords at once to see which have been found in a security breach. And it takes a couple of minutes to run, but when it's done, you can come out here and you can get all the details. So here's that Asana password that we looked at before, the one found in all those security breaches. Now, when you click the update button, what's going to happen is we're actually going to take you out to that site and get you logged in. And when you get to the change password page, we have a wizard that pops up that's going to walk you through changing that password. And we're automatically going to save that new password in the website and in PasswordBoss. And that's all automatic. There's no manual steps. There's no copy paste. We just do everything for you. So that the next time that you come to that site, you're going to be using the new password. And if that's a shared password, we're updating everybody else with a new password too. And then the other dark web scan that we have here is an email scan. So you can scan your email address or anybody's to see if it's been found in a security breach. And it takes just a second to run here, so we'll scan Alex's. And nothing found there, so that's good. But again, because you can scan anybody's, let's scan one of my old ones. And again, you can use this to scan your customers, your prospects, any email address. So this one's actually been found in 22 different security breaches. And then what we do is we actually list them out here for you. We show you all the breaches, where they were, when they were. We even give you the list of everything that was stolen. And then this is really powerful information to put in the hands of the end users. And keep in mind, what we're trying to do with our dark web scans down here is to get people to change their passwords. That's how we can improve your online security. Now, there's a couple other features I want to point out here in the app for you too. So I'm going to come over here into the settings section of the app. And if we come to the security tab, down at the bottom, we've got two-step verification. Now, this is to get into the PasswordBoss app. And you can turn this on per user, or you can force it on for everybody via policy. The other thing I want to show you here is on the advanced tab. And we can actually log into Windows apps too. So we're not just browsers. So for example, I use PasswordBoss to log into Zoom every day. I don't know any of my passwords. We make it really easy to import your passwords. So if you come to File, Import, we can actually import from a lot of different spots. Browser is important. A lot of people still have passwords out there. We can easily grab them out of the browser. Malware can do the same thing. So keep in mind, if you got passwords there, you're going to want to get them out of the browser. But from File here, this tends to be the big one. So if you do that, then click the drop down. Where do you want to import them from? Question here is from LastPass, but we do have importers for a lot of the different password managers out there. We got Dashlane, KeePass, Keeper, MyGlue, Passportal's in the list here. We got a lot of stuff, right? But if where your passwords are at currently is not in the list, it's not a big deal. Just use our CSV templates, right? The instructions link will take you after the support site where you can download them. And as long as you can get your passwords out of wherever you've got them now, you can just copy and paste them into the templates. We've got all the columns set up for you. And then you can easily just import them right into PasswordBoss. So again, we make it really easy to bring your passwords in.